I have heard stories of a mighty Spanish captain who hunted and killed thousands of men.
No, men, no. Pirates. Pirates.
I once knew a Spaniard named something in Spanish.
He's coming for you, Jack.
What's up everyone, my name is Max, and today I'll be showcasing every Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man Tell No Tales minifigure. I originally thought of reviewing the Duel on Mustafa set since we've just seen Vader and Obi-Wan duel for the first time since then, but since Johnny Depp has just won his court case against Amber Heard, I wanted to kind of celebrate this victory by looking at a bunch of figures from one of his last movies. I'll still be reviewing the set next week though, unless some crazy stuff happens in Kenobi next week. In that case, I'll try and find something related to that. Now though, we'll look at these figures, all of them from the Silent Mary, which was released in 2017 along with the 5th pirate movie. Hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoy this review, and please excuse my poor English, I'm no native speaker. But let's just get into it with the first figure now. Our first figure for today is the main man himself, Captain Jack Sparrow. This isn't our most recent Johnny Depp figure, but it is our best, I'd say at least. Originally I thought that they cheaped out on the legs, but when looking at his outfit in the movie, his pants as well as his boots are both brown, so not a lot wrong there. What I would have liked for them to do though would have been to use dual molded legs, that way his skirt wouldn't have cut off on the side here. But there's still some nice detailed printing, like this fabric right here, continuing over the hip and onto the torso. The torso itself has a lot of printing on it. I'll take off his hair so you can see it better. You have his belt and belt buckle printed in silver. Under that you have that piece of cloth of which the colors don't really align with the hip and legs, as well as his blue jacket with all the patterns on there. Beneath that you have his chest, which doesn't match his skin tone at all. This is of course because it's printed on a dark blue torso, and they almost always mess up the skin tone when they print them on different colored torsos. Anyways, the printing continues on the back as well, which is mostly covered up by his hairpiece. The hairpiece is the same as the one they used for a lot of other Jack Sparrows as well, but with updated printing this time. Of course you have his white strain in there and this little braid here. His bandana doesn't just have his little chain on there, but also the entire pattern, which they didn't do for any other Jack minifigure. I love the face as well, getting Johnny Depp's likeness on there quite well, and I think his smiling face works even better for him. As accessories he has his saber as well as the ship in the bottle depicting the Black Pearl, later released by Jack and Barbossa. Overall, a great figure which will set you about 20 to 25 bucks if you want to get it on Bricklink. Up next we have the antagonist of the movie, Captain Salazar, played by Javier Bardem. A great figure honestly, and it fits in well with other Pirates of the Caribbean villain minifigs. Starting at the legs again, they look great, so much detail, the buttons, these white stripes, they continue to the torso and even some printing on the center part of the leg. The only thing kinda annoying here is again that the legs aren't dual molded. It would have fit perfectly here with his coat covering everything above his knee, and it wouldn't have looked as awkward as it does right now. Anyways, we have some printing on the hip as well as a very detailed torso above that. We again have these buttons on the left as well as on the middle printed in silver, and this time we also have his belt buckle down here and his medal here printed in a darker silver. The printing continues on the back as well, and for accuracy's sake he has these shoulder pads as well. Now the head is where the figure kinda falls apart. It just doesn't look very good. He looks way too young and nothing like Javier Bardem, although it is nice that they've printed his face on a trans clear head to simulate his skin and flesh slowly fading away. His hair is nice again, working very well in pretending that his hair is constantly floating like it is in the movie. In conclusion, a nice figure. They could have used a better face and will cost you about $15 to $30 on Bricklink. The range there is weird and I honestly don't quite know why. Our third figure for today is Henry, played by Brandon Thwaitis in the last Pirates movie, and a few others may also know him as Nightwing in the Titans show. This figure has one major flaw that we'll get to in a minute, but let's start at the legs. Well, the legs are just monotone and olive green, not a lot to say there. The head is nice, you wouldn't recognize Brandon, but it's still cool and was specifically made for this figure. The alternative face is good as well, showing his scared face this time. His hairpiece was introduced in a 2011 Pirates of the Caribbean set and actually works great for Henry, although I'd have wished for them to use it in brown and not tan. That way it would have aligned better with the eyebrows and would have still matched his hair in the movie. Now getting to the bad part of the figure, the torso. The jacket print on there is great with very detailed pattern, even continuing on the back as well. Where the figure falls apart now though is his shirt and skin here. Neither of the colors match the molded equivalent. The skin doesn't match the head, the shirt doesn't match the arms. By now they've gotten better with this, but in 2017 it was still quite rough. Overall, an okay figure which goes for about $5 to $10 on Bricklink. Our next minifig will be Lieutenant Lazzaro, who was portrayed by Juan Carlos Villido. In the movie he wasn't a major character, but it's still nice to see that LEGO gave us some background characters to fill up the ship. I could talk about every single detail on this figure, but his body's almost identical to Salazar's. The only difference here is that his coat isn't grey, it's tan, and I like the variation here, otherwise the whole crew would look a little boring, even though it would be accurate to the movie. movie. Still though, kinda sad that they didn't use dual molded legs again, and here I don't get why they didn't use a tan hip. Now you have these weird 3-color side view, even though you could have just made the hip tan as well, but honestly it's nothing major. Here's back printing as well, and unlike Salazar, he doesn't use a trans clear head, which works well in his case, just cause his head isn't as dissolved as Salazar's is. All the other printing's accurate as well, with his eye patch on the front here and some more detailing on the back. You've even got some more printing on the head as well, which is quite cool. All things considered, a cool minifig with a current value of about $8 to $10 on Bricklink. Next up we have Keira Smith, played by Keira Smith. This is her in her light blue turquoise dress, which she wears for most of the movie of course. When this figure released in 2017, they still used this slow piece as a skirt piece. The new piece we have currently didn't release until 1 year later. You have some printed detail on the front here that continues on the torso as well. Here we have these parts on the side of the front to emulate the figure being thinner than all of the others, and on this figure they actually managed to get the skin tone on the torso to match the one of the head. I don't really like the head though. It doesn't match Keira Smith's likeness at all, even though they made this head specifically for her, and I think they should have gone with the Ray Daisy Ridley head. It's also got freckles just like this one, and in my opinion it just fit her better. The alternative face doesn't really do it for me either, to be honest. The hair's fine, and as an accessory she's got this thing and this book with some printing on the front depicting the cover of the book she carries with her in the movie as well, and on the inside you've got some more detailing. Overall, a nice figure which could need some new face printing and will cost you about $15 to $20 on Bricklink. Our next figure will be Officer Magda, portrayed by Rodney Affif, another member of Salazar's crew and a well-made one at that. Unlike Salazar and Lazzaro, he's also got a transparent leg, which is really cool, and obviously LEGO can make good looking transparent figures, so where are our Force Ghosts, LEGO? Anyways, his other leg got similar printing to those of Salazar, and again, where are our dual molded legs? I don't know. The printing continues over the hip onto the torso, just like with the other guys as well, and I'm also again asking, why is the hip not light grey? It would have worked better here as well, but that's nothing to get hung up about. The torso is pretty much the exact same as Lazzaro's, with some printing on the back as well, although it would have needed to be way darker to match the movie version, but I get that you want to bring in variation. His head is trans clear with some printing on there. It looks really good, but I don't quite get why they made it transparent, since in the movie his head isn't fading away like Salazar's. Whatever, he uses the classic pirate head, which works well here since he's wearing a very similar one in the movie. In conclusion, a pretty good figure which would have needed to be quite a bit darker and will set you back about $10 if you want to get it on Bricklink. Our second to last figure is the Silent Harry masthead. This is kind of a weird one since it'd actually have to be way bigger to fit the version in the movie, but because you can mount this one to the front of the Silent Mary, they downscaled it quite a bit. You can see that there's also not a ton of detail on there, the legs and the shield leg any printing for example. Her torso is honestly just a bunch of random detail, which I honestly can't quite decipher, but it does continue on the back as well. Under the hood we have a resting face with some cracks on the face as well. Her alternative face is angrier, which makes sense since this is the one you'd use to show her awakened form from the movie when she tries to kill Jack. Overall, kind of a random figure which is worth about $10 on Bricklink. And the last figure for today is Officer Santos, played by Rupert Rainieri. As you can see, this figure is using the ghost piece which was introduced in a 2015 CMF. This doesn't really make any sense since Officer Santos has both legs in the movie, so I don't know why they've decided to go down this route. Unlike with the other ghost pirates, his jacket is a little modest right down here, which is like a nice little detail, but if you look at him in the movie, his defining feature is the giant hole in his chest, which they just left out here. I get that that's basically impossible to do, but then why make him and not just some other dude from the crew? Whatever. His face is fine, nothing outstanding, and the head works very nice as well. Overall, I can say they just designed a character and then just slapped some random name on there, and that will cost you about $10 on Bricklink. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more of me, check out my second channel, and until next week, goodbye!